All right, sir. Well, yeah, I should have worked a bit harder on this, but my goals right now are just getting to LLM program at a really good school. I'm talking with someone that most likely going to give me a job after. I don't know if they'll pay for it, but they said that this would help. This is one of my friend's dads too, who he does good stuff, but he was just kind of giving me advice on it. And then also, so I got on Law Review, got the scholarship from Murray Klein, and he kind of told me about it. And he was like, that'd be a good thing to do if you're not really tied to wanting to go into a spot or anything. So I felt like it'd be a way to get into an Ivy League program, and then potentially would just help me later just by having that.
So, all right. Okay. So first, you mentioned like maybe somebody give you a job, and they pay for the LLM.
Well, I don't think they're gonna pay for it, but I gotta talk about it. We'll talk and see. I mean, I have to get something solid from them. They've told me things, but I don't know fully.
So who is this?
This is just my friend's dad.
Okay.
Yeah, he does like natural resource stuff, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and for a corporation.
Yeah, I think it'd be for a corporation, yes, sir.
I mean, that's who he works for.
Yep, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So, that helps me kind of understand. You can share whatever you want to share or not. I mean, I understand that you're kind of, you want to be cautious about all this and so forth. But what I'm trying to get a feel for is, kind of partly where where they're coming from with their recommendations, and then also kind of what career trajectory, because natural resources, oil, gas, mining,
gold mining, and things like that. Yeah, but not sure, not positive. That's why how I'm saying it is kind of cautious, because not everything's laid out, not everything's set up, for me, I mean, when they tell you something, I think that it's 100%, but I haven't talked about it enough to really,
I get that. I'm following what you're saying, that totally makes sense to me. What, so you're going to go to the dark side, huh?
I know.
No,
well, we'll see though. I mean, potentially I take a different route and path, but we'll see.
Well, okay, but no, I want to have like an honest conversation about this, because without judgment. Okay, so
Yeah.
I just want to because this is your life and your career, so but if you work for a company like a mining company, right? It is. You're going to be advising them on what the law requires, but it is helping them to engage in mining profitably, which usually means sort of trying to minimize regulatory compliance. And that doesn't mean non-compliance, but it means but it may include lobbying for easing up on the regulations, or it may include, drafting various arguments as to why you should be excluded or exempted from regulatory requirements. So that's just kind of how it goes. Right? They're not hiring you to save endangered species. They're hiring you to help them mine profitably. And here's sort of three possible pathways. One is that you're like, okay, well, they need good, thoughtful, ethical lawyers to help them do the right thing. Okay, so that's one thing. There's another pathway that is like, I'm an environmentalist, or I care about the environment, and this doesn't really seem like, okay, this has gotten me interested in this area, but this doesn't really seem like the right kind of work pathway for me, but maybe the subject matter pathway is the right way. So, that's the second kind of option. And the third option is where you sort of get into it because, hey, it's a good job, and it's a well-paying job, and it's a prestigious job, and you like the people. And once you're in it, you're like, I really feel uncomfortable about these things that are going on. I mean, I don't, maybe it's legal, but it doesn't really seem right, and, that kind of stuff. And so you're kind of quickly looking for, the escape route out of it, and so forth. So those are the kind of, typically the three pathways. I mean, okay, so this is not you, but occasionally I have, I have students who are like, yeah, mining should take precedence over the environment, and I'm all for, like, it's all about money and business and capitalism, and that's what I'm for. And so, I have students who are like that, and so forth. So, that's a fourth pathway, but I don't think that's really you. So those are the sort of three pathways I see. The third pathway, if you can actually, if you can avoid it, it's better. It would be better to figure out the first two pathways first, because the third pathway is it's difficult, it's awkward. You may feel compromised in things you're doing. You may feel badly because you like these people personally, but you really don't like what the company's doing, or what's what the goals are and stuff. And so it's just, I guess what I'm saying is, unfortunately, before you're ever in the environment or the circumstance, before you're ever in the situation, you really kind of have to think through the ethics and values dimensions of it. And that's really hard, because that's in some ways it's a little unfair that you have to kind of figure it out, or do what you can to figure it out ahead of time. But it just, So anyway, so I just want to kind of encourage you to sort of think through some of that.
Thank you for that. Because that's something I didn't have the foresight, to kind of think about that. I just wanted, jumping into something. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
So a couple thoughts, just sort of more generally. You're very talented. You're not. We've had this conversation before that you don't have as much confidence in your own abilities as you deserve to have. So, you bring a lot. You bring a lot of skills that are. You're a very good student academically. Certainly in my classes. And you're actually in environmental law. Your biggest enemy was actually your own underconfidence in yourself. Just getting your paper. I think you were afraid that you had to. I think you worried that the paper had to be more than it was. And so then that cost you in terms of the points, in terms of being late. But it's and I don't know. I perceive that as, it might have been a time management problem, but I think it was really more a self-confidence problem. Is my perception of it. So, but you've done really well, at least in my classes, and of course my classes are the most important ones. So. But and you're on law review and so on and so forth. But you also, you have interpersonal and relational and communication skills that are leadership skills and so forth that are yeah, I mean, there's not. I mean, not all law students have those. I mean, or certainly don't have them in the way that you do. Um, I would encourage you to be a little bit cautious about being exploited for that.
Yes,
You're a very good consensus builder, and you're very, you really build bridges with people, and you're a good communicator. And you're a person of color. And so there is going to be a tendency for every organization and institution, including, by the way, the law school and the university, to exploit that. I mean, and it might not be badly intentioned. I mean, but there's just a tendency to sort of say, oh, well, here's somebody who, is probably not going to organize a protest right in our face at the moment. Instead, they're going to, be constructive, and they're going to, and so it's, I don't know if you've seen the meme about students of color who have had their pictures featured to demonstrate how diverse the school, diverse and inclusive the school is, and how they should be being given free tuition for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, it is, but it's a sort of catch-22 to some degree. I mean, if you don't show diverse students, then it makes it hard to have
That's right.
diversity.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it is exploiting your diverse students a little bit, right? I mean, right? And so all I'm saying is, I would hate for you to get hurt by being a good guy and but while other people are exploiting you. And I'm not saying they're necessarily bad people. I'm just saying that's a tendency that is out there for organizations to exploit people. And it's not exactly the same, but it's a little bit the same in that I've been doing the schedule all year on top of all my other regular duties because I have the skill set, and I worried about, well, if we don't have a schedule, that's a real problem, and so I'll step in and help out and do it. But it's totally a ridiculous situation. I mean, the university and the law school need to step up and sort of say, okay, if we're going to have this work that needs to get done, then we're going to have somebody to do it. We're going to have to have to release them from teaching, or we're going to have to, you can't sort of say, oh, well, because somebody is well-intentioned, we're just going to overuse them and burn them out. But organizations do that a lot. I mean, they do it. And I mean, I think you kind of were feeling that with Balsa from some of the things you said. I mean, people wanted a lot out of you without really helping or without really appreciating what you were doing. And again, it's not because they're bad people. It's because that's just how organizations work. Now, organizations, there's a basic phenomenon where they overexploit their best people. It just happens. So all I'm saying is you need to protect yourself. Just be a little bit, cautious and take care of yourself in this, and do what you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
and that's really hard. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I have found myself being really unhappy where I was doing something to make somebody else happy, and it was not it was not a good thing. I mean, it was not healthy for me. So
I needed that. I needed that. Thank you because this is like really honest conversation, and you're hitting a lot of deep points. So, no, I definitely needed that today, and with everything with the future, everything I'm thinking about, that's huge. What you're saying. So, thank you.
So one of the things that if you're interested in environmental and natural resources, I would encourage you to think about an LLM program that is strongest in that area, in in relationship to or in comparison to that school's overall reputation. But what that means is probably not Ivy League schools, law schools, but on the other hand, probably not the law schools that are ranked number 1 and 2 in environmental either, in environmental LLM programs, because so the most highly ranked schools are ones that just have like a zillion environmental courses, but they're not especially highly ranked law schools by the in and of themselves. So that's like Vermont Law School and Pace Law School and Lewis and Clark. I mean, they're great places for people who are sort of like passionately that, but they're not they're not especially highly ranked schools. On the other hand, Harvard, Yale, okay, they know. So I'm gonna be crude here, but they know jack shit about environmental law. I'm so sorry. I mean, so that actually Harvard has one really great professor, and he's a superstar. He's really great, but he's one guy, and he's and they're all. Besides that, they're all so busy being prestigious and writing and so on and so forth. Those are not the programs that will do the most for you.
What? I'm sorry. What about even like, because I may want to do some contract stuff with it too, because they were talking about contract stuff, but I thought that could even carry over to something else. I definitely love environmental though.
Well, I mean, so contract law is interesting area, and it's a different area. And so forth. I mean, and it could be a great field as well. I mean, there's probably a small handful of legal jobs out there where there's an overlap between the two, but at a lot of bigger organizations, you're going to have different lawyers. You have one lawyer working on the environmental stuff and a different lawyer working on the contracting stuff. So it's not a huge market to say, okay, here I've got this intersection. I mean, if you were wanting to become an academic and you were like, ooh, there's this niche of the relationship between contracting law and environmental law that nobody's really explored, and I could be like the world's leading expert, right? Yeah. That's probably true. I mean, there's probably 1 or 2 people out there who've latched onto that by now, but yes, that would be a niche area. But if what you're really looking for is good job opportunities, it's just in a given year, there's just not going to be that many that have that combination. So it's almost more like you have to choose more one direction or the other. Certainly you could take classes, and so forth in the other. But now, having said that, George Washington University Law School in Washington, D.C. has a strong environmental LLM and a strong LLM in government contracting law. Okay. So that's something that you might and there's some good folks there. So let me kind of rattle off the schools that I know that have the strongest programs, and they are. George Washington, Georgetown, UCLA.
Oh, that'd be sweet. UC Berkeley?
Florida. Hold on just a second.
Do you think that it's realistic for me to get into, because these are some, real top programs?
So, second. I do with some contingencies. Let me explain that. Berkeley is another one. Yes, Berkeley is another one. I don't know that. And also, do you want to go there?
Oh yeah, I'll go anywhere. Honestly, like
Right?
yeah,
Well,
but
because I just see Tulane has an online
oh wow,
LLM program, so that's
that's in New Orleans, right? But if it's online, I can be anywhere.
right. Exactly. Well, that's what I was trying to see is if you were wanting to do the online. Uh, hmm. NYU is another one.
Oh yeah, that's like oh they're big time.
Okay, so Stanford has one now, an
They're
environmental LLM and environmental law and policy. Let me talk to you about Stanford here in just a moment.
but I called them and they said because I was hype about them being on there and they said that they're not taking any domestic LLM students right now.
Yeah, I think that that's what I was going to say is their LLM programs are mostly about international students.
Hmm.
So if you want to go to Texas, the University of Houston's the best one.
Okay.
It's actually better than University of Texas.
Wow. I have family in Houston.
Yeah. So let me just look real quickly at the online. Vermont has an online. Interestingly enough, Texas A&M has a online.
Wow.
Sorry, their online program's not what you're looking for. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Of course, there's a whole bunch of international programs. Actually, George Washington might be online. Now, of course, being in D.C. is helpful.
Yeah.
But all right. All right. So let me suggest a couple of things. Okay, so energy law is a big deal now, right? So, and so a lot of these LLM programs are environmental and energy because energy has just become a big deal. What you're going to find is that many of the LLM programs are going to emphasize sustainable energy or regulation of energy, which is
The opposite, kind of.
well, it's because those faculty. I mean, the faculty there generally aren't going to be, hey, let's go do more oil and gas drilling in national parks. That's now your client might be like, hey, let's go do more oil and gas drilling in the national parks. But the professors in the programs are not. But nonetheless, I mean, you learn basic energy law and so on and so forth. I have not gone down that road at all. I'm like, I do land use, I do water, I do environmental and natural resources and real estate and all of these other areas. I'm like, energy law is a whole other field, but it's a growth field. It's a growth field, and so it certainly is something that you might want to learn some things about. Whether you want to be an energy lawyer, you'll have to kind of investigate and think through. Kind of what you've done so far is more traditional environmental and natural resources law. And so, you'll just have to kind of think through that. So second thing is, I definitely think that you can be competitive. I think at this point in time, okay, so how do I say this? Okay, so first of all, the whole issue about environmental justice and the relationship between environmental law and things like race, ethnicity, class, poverty, that kind of stuff. So that's been, people have been saying, hey, for, I don't know, since probably I was in law school, or certainly when I was first getting into teaching, because I wrote an article that was sort of the very first article that showed the relationship between environmental justice and land use planning and regulation. And the whole sort of environmental justice literature was pretty new at the time. Okay, it wasn't brand new, but it's pretty new. And so this sort of was a thing for a while, and there was growing criticism of mainstream environmental groups for not being diverse, of ignoring the needs of low-income communities of color, that kind of thing. So there got to be, various environmental justice policies adopted and regulations adopted, and some of them were, just symbolic and nothing ever happened. Some of them were more meaningful. So it really varied a lot from agency to agency and organization to organization. But even as of, just recently, there are still organizations, environmental organizations, and environmental agencies out there that seem to give almost no attention to the racial and ethnic disparities and the issues of poverty and vulnerability and so forth. Okay, so there's people talking about it, but there's also people sort of ignoring it. Well, of course, one of the things that is coming out of sort of the intense focus on Black Lives Matter is that, hey, this is it's not only law enforcement. When we talk about systemic racism, we're also talking about environmental law. Yes. And so one of the things is, I think this is a moment in time where all of a sudden, I saw some law school, and I'll have to look it up, but some law school suddenly created a new environmental justice LLM, specifically on environmental justice.
Wow.
And so, that tells you that now there's just a scramble to sort of, deal with this. And so I would say one of the things is that and of course, part of the point is that, it's not just about a bunch of white lawyers and scientists saying, "Hey, we should think about the black people," right? I mean, it's like, well, where are in your organization? Where are the black and brown people, right? Why are you? I mean, and so I guess what I'm saying is, I think that I think that law schools are going to be keenly sensitive to the diversity of students in their LLM program, and so I think I think that's an advantage for you. I mean, I think that's I think that people are like, gosh, we've been, our programs have been oriented towards a limited set of students that we've been sort of reaching out to and recruiting, and we need to be more diverse in our program. So that's what So I think that's there, but part of the thing is, what do you do with that? Because again, probably if you're like, hey, I'm going to go help a mining company put mines on Native American lands, that's probably that's not so. That's probably
exactly not the way people are going. Or thinking. Exactly.
Yeah. So on the other hand, they're not. I mean, when we talk about this, we're not really talking about. They're not recruiting people to go protest at Standing Rock, right? I mean, there are people who are protesting at Standing Rock, but that's not the point either. It's about using the law and the legal system and so on and so forth. Sure. But anyway, but that's the, that's what's out there. I guess one other thing that I don't know if you've really thought about or whatever is sort of more of the land use dimension, sort of more dealing with zoning and land use regulation and some of that kind of stuff. If that's if that's something that is of interest, because obviously that has a more of an intersection with the kind of the urban issues and so forth. And the other one, of course, is water. So so there's energy out there. There's sort of more traditional environmental and natural resources. There's land use, but obviously water resources. This is a significant area as well, and that's that's a really much more limited area. But I mean, people who do that kind of stuff, I mean, they're in high demand because those issues are really significant. Where do you want to end up living and practicing?
I don't care. I'll go anywhere, honestly. It does not matter.
Listen to you. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. I mean, if you, do you really feel that way?
I'm pretty close to that way. I mean, yeah. I think where I end up, people will probably come that way anyway. If I wanted, family to be around me, they'd probably come that way.
All right.
But yeah, I have no ties to really any area or this place I like, this place I enjoy, but mainly just because family's there, but no ties to any area at this point.
And you live primarily in Michigan and Dallas?
About just them two. Yeah, that's it. North Dallas, yeah. So, and my mom's still there, but she'll get ready to get up and leave at any second. She's probably been trying to leave for the past few years, but my siblings are younger. They're in high school, so she's not doing that. And then my dad and them, everybody's leaving out of Lansing and Michigan for the most part. So I'm sure that they're, he wants to. He if he could have it his way, I guess he'd move to Switzerland and chill out there. And I don't know where they got that idea, but that's what they want. So everybody, my family up there, most of them are moving to Phoenix area, and
Phoenix, okay.
Yeah, so there's a big migration. But yeah, really nothing for me to go back to in Michigan, like to live and to stay in. but family. My grandma's older. My aunt and my cousins, some of them, the ones who got jobs, moved to Minnesota because one works for Mayo. And then my other cousin was going to move there, but she didn't pass her test or whatever. So my aunt's still here. But I figured if both of them moved out there, and then my grandma, she's going to probably stay in Lansing, Michigan forever. But, I don't know how long forever is. She's a wild child.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well, cool. Well, that's interesting. That gives me some feel for. Yeah.
I can go anywhere. I'll go anywhere. Northern California is a nice place, though. But like you said, I don't know it all because it's real populated, real expensive. So that's But I literally would go to any. I probably want a city though. Even if I stayed outside of a city, I just like, as a young single man, it's something that where there's food open late, I enjoy that.
Wait, you're living in Louisville.
Yeah.
Everything closes down at like 8 o'clock.
and I hate that, but at least there's good, nice food places. In Lansing, it was after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, McDonald's or wasn't even really pizza. At least here I can get pizza.
Steak and Shake. They're
Steak and Shake. There you go. You said it. Yeah. Texas is good. I like Texas though. I do like Texas. I like Texas, and California's cool. Yeah, Arizona might be cool. I've never been.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that's helpful. Well, I mean, so I definitely think you can get into a strong program. I think one of the things you really want to do is sort of think through what kind of direction you want to take, and that kind of stuff. When are you thinking about applying?
So applications open, a lot of them open September 1st, some open late August. So I wanted to do it as ASAP because like the end of the summer in July, I got to do a couple things. One thing with the SBA and orientation, I have to do some law review stuff, but I wanted to knock out my personal statement. And so once they open up, I can just send my stuff in. And that's why I'm asking you kind of early about I guess it's early. I'm probably on time about the letter of recommendation. So.
Yep. Okay. No, for sure. Yeah. No, I'd totally be glad to do the letter. I'm just, I'm just thinking about even reaching out to people I know at some of these schools and say, here's somebody that you really ought to take a look at and so forth. But I think it would be helpful to have a better feel of the direction. So I think you have some thinking to do. And I know you're not yet in water resources class yet, but I wonder about that, whether, again, sort of, because, part of the thing about water is there's a property law dimension to it, there's an environmental law dimension, and some of that has kind of natural resources kind of both ways, but then there's also sort of a justice dimension that people haven't been paying as much attention to and stuff, and it's just become the sort of trying to figure out what to do with limited water in the West has become a huge thing and stuff. Anyway, it seems to me that it might be a growing, emerging niche. I think energy law totally is growing, but it's also lots of people have rushed to it, and so it might be harder to distinguish yourself. I mean, you might just sort of be part of the cast of thousands that has sort of rushed to energy law and so forth. So, I think that's part of it as well, just to kind of think through some of those issues, but also what you like. I mean, what you enjoy. I think we did, when you took property, we didn't do water, did we? Or did we?
When I took property, we didn't. We didn't.
We did, yeah.
And we
I,
didn't do, I'm sorry.
I did water this last year because I had the whole class the whole year,
Oh.
so that's why. Yeah. So
What's the difference? So do you went over the Clean Water Act or something?
no. Well, these are water rights.
Oh.
Who has rights to water? Prior appropriation doctrine and public, and riparian doctrine and public trust doctrine and
Wow.
Federal Reserve water rights and the Federal Navigation Servitude and just. Oh yeah. So, and we're going to get into that some in water resources, but actually, our water resources class is going to be a little bit more like environmental legal history.
Okay.
It's a little different, but yeah, well, but yeah. So I mean, that maybe that's another conversation we should have some time. But if you still have your property casebook,
Yeah.
you go to the Water Rights and Public Trust chapter and just read the first, I don't know, it's
Intro?
that introductory part. It's about 10 or 15 pages long. And it's
What-
like,
Is it? Oh. Here she is.
excellent. Excellent. I love it.
Yeah. So just the intro part.
Yeah. So if you go to water rights and public trust is back there somewhere right after the land use and takings and stuff.
I wanted to say we did public trust, but I don't think we did. Did we?
We talked about it in environmental law.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you big time, sir. And I gotta get it clear, and think about it. That's why, with this job at the Isaacs and Isaacs, it's like, I like it. I like the researching and doing stuff, and I'm not doing much, honestly. But it's cool. I'm learning. Looking at depositions and stuff like that, and mediations, which are awesome. But it's just not what I'm gonna be doing. So it's like,
No.
yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. I mean, Dimitri, you've done property, environmental law. I don't think you didn't do the field study.
No. I should have.
Yeah, that's all right. The property, environmental law, and land use, and now you're taking water resources, and you have an aptitude for it. So, I'm not trying. I don't want to push you in that direction because if you're happier doing something else, you should do something else. But what I'm saying is, you definitely have some skills and interest in the area. It seems to me. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Trying to find.
so you found the stuff, right?
Oh, here it is. Water rights in public trust, 835. Yeah. Got it.
So, okay. So, it's just a big picture overview of this is what water law is. I mean, it's like a nutshell, right? But a short nutshell. And so you get a feel for it. I mean, you don't have to read the cases and stuff if you don't want. But anyway, the other thing, so let's talk further about, your interests and stuff. But, if you wanted to go in a particular direction, if there's a particular kind of, I don't know, something that really is most interesting to you or whatever, I could try to connect you with some of the people in the LLM programs that are most oriented towards that.
Right.
So let me, did you, the Bail lecture, last year.
Who was the speaker? What was it about?
Was it Jim Saltzman that talked about water?
Water, yes, yep, I remember. I was just thinking about that the other day. Go ahead.
Did you come to the? Did you come to the?
No, I didn't. The dinner that was after. Yeah. The dinner that was after.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. The other thing I was just wanted to touch on is I have some recommendations for your resume.
Yes, sir. Please destroy it.
Well, I think I think it's hard for the reader to see some of the things that are most important to what you're going to bring to whether it's a legal position or with an employer or an LLM program. And the other thing is and I think there's some things on here that you could just really
get rid of.
Well, you could put down to just with no bullet points underneath, just too long. I mean, just the name and the title and stuff. Like some of it seems like it's all squeezed. Mm-hmm. So like I mean, there's no spacing between your name, like all your contact information, education is a title, and then each of your education things. And it's just, I think it's hard for somebody to really focus on the Brandeis School of Law, and that's where, yeah. I think that your some of your other stuff at like Oklahoma State and Lansing,
just that.
Probably don't need to be there.
So okay.
I'm not even sure you need your GPAs there.
Okay, I'll take them out.
I mean, so here's the thing is your undergrad GPA, okay, so if somebody stops and thinks, oh, it's chemistry, okay, then it's good. But just on the face of it, like, I mean, if somebody's like looking at somebody in like political science who, has a 3.52, your GPA doesn't look as strong in relationship to that. I think the fact that you majored in chemistry is a huge one. That's a big thing, and especially in the environmental area. But I just don't know if anybody needs to know that you went to Lansing Community College and Oklahoma State.
Okay, so just take those out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when you apply when you do the bar exam, of course you have to let them know all the places you've been. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're. So what did you do? 3 years at Michigan State?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's where you got your degree. And so, I mean, really what you want to do is report your degrees, but I think you want a little bit more spacing. And then actually under your education, I might take out your GPA and class rank and instead put, the Louisville Law Review.
Okay.
And then I would put,
SBA.
Executive Vice President, Student Bar Association. I would put President, Black Law Students Association, and I think it's actually Diversity Committee rather than Diversity Board. Member Diversity Committee. But I would probably start with the title, like the Executive Vice President, the President, Member, etc., and then put right after what it is. And I'm trying to think, I think that's everything. Then on experience, you're obviously going to have Isaacs, and you're going to want to put that in and some bullets. And then the Lockheed Martin, that's really good. That's really interesting. But then the JWR Health Services and Transportation, just put that in the co-director of transportation, take out all the bullet points, and then intramural sports west. And I don't know if S and W are supposed to be capitalized in that.
Oh, probably, yes.
Yeah. So, but member services representative. But
don't need all that though.
It shows that you did some things, but people aren't. Somebody might ask, but especially for an LLM program, they're not really going to care if you provided resistance training to just international students. They're just kind of right. So, and then community involvement. I would I would just list them. Greater Lansing Food Bank. You don't need to clarify that it's a food pantry because I think it's pretty obvious from the word food bank. Bethlehem Temple Church. And I don't think you need all of the details of what you did there. The Ingham County Community of Mental Health, the Lansing City Councilman Quinney, Lansing School Board Member Campaign. Is that all one thing?
Lansing School Board Member, yeah, I think that is one thing.
So Quinney ran for school board, is that what you're saying?
No, he was running for city council, I think.
Okay, so you want to list each of those separately. So Lansing City Councilman Quinney campaign, right? You worked on the campaign?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you want to say Lansing City Councilman Quinney campaign, and I don't know who ran for Lansing School Board.
It was my grandma's friend Steve Manchester. So I can.
Okay, so then Steve Manchester for Lansing School Board campaign or something like that, and Tri-County Office of Aging. And you don't need volunteer because that's redundant, but you do need a capital O and a capital A on Office of Aging.
Right.
So, but you can just list those on, and you can actually change community involvement and interest to community volunteer experience or something like that, right? And then just list them down, but I don't think they necessarily need to know that you were on the youth group board or concession fundraiser. I think the key is you've been involved. You've done. That's the key thing. Is here are a number of different community activities that you've been involved in.
Yes, sir. All right, I appreciate
it. So
it.
that's kind of what I would suggest. And I'm trying to think if you have anything else at the law school that is out there.
Let me think. And I haven't really done any clubs or groups or anything. No trial practice stuff. No.
Okay, you've got a lot going on, though. Seriously, you're SBA vice president, BALSA president, and law review. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Now, here's something I would toss out, especially if you're interested in environmental stuff. So just to. This is actually it is actually not in my interest because we've been down this road before and it's not gone well. So we used to have an organization called the Environmental Law and Land Use Society, and it just fell apart because the students didn't. The thing is that it's every so many years. Students would be interested and they do something, and then we would have officers and they wouldn't do anything. The thing is, So I believe student organizations need to be student run.
Yeah.
Faculty advisors provide some guidance. Sometimes we tell you, you can't do something that you're wanting to do because there
Yeah.
are rules, and I mean, unfortunately, right? I mean, I don't, but like you just that's sort of how it goes. But if I were you, if especially if you're interested in pursuing an LLM in the environmental area, is I would
Do
reach
environmental
out
stuff.
to I would reach out to Pierce and see if you can't create. And if I were you, I'd just create a brand new one rather than
Yeah.
try to resurrect the old one. Just create a brand new. And I don't know what you. I mean, you don't have to call it Environmental Law Society. You can call it something else.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I don't know. Brandeis Environmental Justice Organization, or I don't know. So I mean, something. But Pierce would be a good
Yeah.
person to. I mean, he'd be very interested, I think, in doing that. There are other people. Henna Khan might be interested in that. Brian Fields for sure. Brian's. Oh, and I don't know her, but there's somebody like Maria, somebody or other, like Macaluso
Yeah.
or some.
Is she? Yeah. I think she's in my family law class.
Yeah, she's very interested in all this.
Okay.
Well, I think given the amount of interest, I mean, I would certainly be glad to be the faculty advisor,
Yeah.
but I it's got to come from students, and I think you need to, once you have a group of students, approach, the new Crystal, the new assistant dean for students, and say, you all want to form a new environmental organization.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I were you, I'd give it some focus other than just, I mean, like for example, right now, justice is like, so you could have Brandeis Environmental Justice, or Brandeis Students for Environmental Justice or something like that.
Okay.
So that might be kind of a cool thing. But
Yeah, that's something people could take on, and I think that would be good. I mean,
yep.
yeah.
And that's another thing on your resume, and you could say something like, I don't know, founding co-president or founding
Yeah.
vice president or whatever, and so this, and so but it's just a thought out that to because I think it'd be helpful to do this. And here's the other thing is, if you had a focused set of activities, like for example, I think one of the things that could be really good is some speakers. But now that there's all this online stuff,
It's easy.
it's so much easier, right? I mean, so okay. So now all you got to do is say, oh well, here's I don't know, Liz Edmondson could speak to us over the internet, on I don't know, Zoom or Teams or whatever other, on Thursday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something
Yeah.
like that, and and so you don't have to. You don't have to have pizza. You don't have to have, they don't have to come and be here at noon, and then they can't find parking, and then they're running late, and all that kind of stuff was sort of a little, I don't know, challenging. And now, there's just so much more. But then you guys could like take on a project and sort of say, hey, we want to, I don't know, plant trees in West Louisville or something like that. So. Anyways, just a thought.
No, we would definitely need you on that big time just to help us start out. Because I don't know if I'd be the best with knowing all the issues, but trying to put it together, get it together, and get people excited about it, I think would be easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you basically, I mean, you know how to, what's involved in being an RSO, right? I mean, you need a constitution, and you need some officers and some stuff like that, and you need to apply. And you have to participate in some sort of training, but it's just one person, one leader has to do it and stuff. I mean, there's. It's just the university stuff, but I think also I think that's easier now that it's not all in person either.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to think about. I could send out some emails, and because I think I have every single one of these people except Pierce in my family law class, all of the 1Ls at least. So, and you're the guy. Everybody knows you, and they come. The people who like environmental, they love you, and you know that they like it. So you can definitely recruit or help us suggest people. So I can talk to them and see what they think, because I think a good team would definitely make something work. Right? We can make something good.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, that's a great one. That would be fun. And it's funny because I've been looking with everything going on. I've been researching and just looking at racial inequality and racial bias, or just implicit biases in society, and phew, the numbers are crazy. So and then societal influences on health, basically of minorities. Yeah, so I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Yep, it is. Well, and now, I mean, in the whole kind of environmental justice dimension was the subject of that third principal problem in environmental law, which was what your final paper was over. So, you're getting, and we did it in land use, right? I mean, so you're getting kind of that, probably too much for me, but that's okay.
It's important. I mean... And sorry to cut you off, but that's one of the things with property law. It was like, wow, when you talk about the mortgage bubble and crisis and all of that, and it was how things connected in the world, and like just knowing the reasons why stuff happens, why things are set up. I was like, just it was huge to me. And so then saw more of that in land use, saw more of that in environmental as well, and so it was just wow.
Yeah.
And I learned about prairie dogs.
The prairie dogs. Everybody loves the prairie dogs.
There's so many different types. I didn't even.
Yes. Yeah, you're like, wait, this is too many prairie dogs.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, but that also, but there are people who go into environmental law specifically for that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all about the different species of prairie dogs and the spiders and snakes and birds of different, and so forth. I mean, that's it's biodiversity and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so that's one of the things is you're going to find in an LLM program that there are going to be a lot of different kinds of people looking to go in different directions. But just something that's kind of environmental justice focused might really fit into the whole sort of. I think both the University of Louisville and the Brandeis School of Law are going to try to be more intentional about racial justice issues. It should be the case and should have been the case for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think that, this might, sort of say, hey, well, the environmental issues here, the intersection of environmental justice or environmental law and racial justice is really important, and we need to be paying attention to that and stuff. So anyways, the thought, because again, there's not only the toxics and the pollutants and the biofuel plant in West Louisville and all that kind of stuff, but there's water issues, right? We talked about Flint and the
what's it called county in Kentucky. I just told
Mark
Martin County. I just told somebody about that.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, but it's an issue in Fresno, and it's a lot, a lot of places. And then yeah, so no, there's just a ton of a ton of different dimensions there. So, um, no, don't put this on your resume, but you could put equitable servitudes on your resume.
I love it. King Louis volleyball league.
Yeah.
And you know what? And could I send you, because I made a few changes, just the ones that you were saying. So could I send this back to you in a bit and see what you think?
Sure. So I might not come back to it until after my vacation.
Whenever.
Yeah. So send it whenever. But yeah, no, I'll take another look at it.
Yes, sir. I'm I'll knock that out. And what was I gonna say?
I'm not hearing what you're saying.
I'm sorry. I think I mumble sometimes.
Yeah, no, yeah, because you turned the other way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for today. I still have to, make a clear direction. Really sit down, take some time and do that, and check this out. But yeah, I'm gonna try my best, do my best. I have a little bit of time after this family law class gets done, but I'm gonna try and do it this week. I'll also be researching a law review topic.
Yes.
And I was gonna do something that was given to me, but from today's conversation, you're saying do something that interests you and do what you like to do, and I think that's something I could take at least not only in life but like towards this as well. So
right,
I'll look some more.
So so a couple of thoughts that might be out there if you're interested, that might tie in. So one is actually using Martin County as a case study on the efficacy of the Safe Drinking Water Act in our drinking water laws. So that's, because then you can use Flint, and you can talk about Fresno, you can talk about some of these other areas and stuff. Another one is there's all these sort of Trump administration rollbacks or whatnot of various environmental protections, and so that could be interesting to sort of take a look at. Sort of, are these legal or not? The whole. I don't know if you saw the DACA decision.
I heard about that.
Chevron, baby.
Yeah. Arbitrary and capricious. I was like, whoa.
Procedure Act. But here's the thing: is that's going to come. So that's going to bite the Trump administration, on the butt. In some of what they're doing on environmental, not everything. Some of the stuff has more to it, but sometimes they just completely reverse a regulation without explanation, and that kind of stuff is being overturned in the courts. So there's some stuff about coal ash, there's stuff about mercury in the water, so there's some water stuff out there that's kind of interesting. And then the other one is the Supreme Court decision in Maui. So the and I forget the whole name of it, but I just call it the Maui case, but it has to do with the Clean Water Act and whether so it's basically it had to do with discharges into groundwater that ended up in the surface water, and the argument was that that's not a point source discharge into surface waters, and so therefore is not covered by the Clean Water Act. Well, a majority of the court, and it was this interesting mix of, I think Breyer was the lead, was the person who wrote the opinion, but some of the conservative justices joined this. But it's basically, they talked about like a functional equivalent of discharging basically it said, well, you can't just get out of compliance with the Clean Water Act by putting it, instead of dumping it directly into the stream right here, you first dump it into the groundwater and it goes directly into the stream.
Yeah.
Right there. I mean, that's sort of the gist of it. There's going to be like a zillion student notes that get written about Maui, but but I think one of the interesting things is, okay, where do we go next from that, or what effect is that? What effect is the Maui decision going to have? So that's, I don't know, they're all water related, but that's three different things out there that are really kind of current hot issues.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, and like with some of those, you could do kind of an environmental justice spin on. I mean, obviously, the Safe Drinking Water Act's totally an environmental justice spin, but you could do environmental justice. These as sort of, how do they relate to issues of environmental justice?
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah. Anyway, just some ideas. I mean, do whatever you want, but it's just some ideas of some things that are, kind of in the fields that or areas we've been talking about.
Yeah. I got this down, so let me looking and see. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Well, I gotta get running here pretty soon, and go have dinner with the folks and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
speaking of dinner, I gotta get my air fryer going then and make some chicken breasts.
Look at you. That's awesome.
I'm trying. It's tough not being able to go to the gym, but I got to do it inside, so it'll work out.
Yeah. No, and I mean, actually, once I start, although, I told you I ordered these
bands. Oh, okay.
No, I got the bands. But I ordered one set of bands and they broke, but they were cheap. It was a scam anyway. So, but I ordered, but then I paid more closer attention to like the reviews and stuff. So I got another set of bands. But anyway, but no, I'd ordered these 50-pound dumbbells, because my max is I'm maxed out at 35. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna get these 50-pounders, and Amazon had them and so on and so forth. Well, okay, so I get this message that says they've been delivered. I'm like, they haven't been delivered. They were delivered in Pennsylvania.
What?
It's okay. So what's really going on is this company. It's kind of a scam. I mean, they totally refunded my money, but but the thing is that like all these people were commenting about they never got what they ordered. Well, see, the thing is they put this out there and then they didn't actually have the product. But rather than just say that, they were afraid to admit it. And so, I mean, and they refunded everybody's money. But it was like, still, I'm like, okay, that's not going to help me. So, anyway, we do the best we can. Yeah. And, I mean, I've been noticing, like if I'm with it, if I really stick with it, then I notice that, I'm experiencing the gains and I'm like, okay, that's, so I just got to carve out the time and do it.
Same. I don't know why I've been so not willing to do it. I almost said lazy, but so you got to tell me how the bands are too.
Okay. But I know why you're having a hard time.
Uh-huh.
It's the work. It's when you got all this stuff going on, it's yet another thing that you have to have a commitment to and make the time. And you're just like, I'd rather, lie here and,
You said it. You said it. That is me. Once I get home and I'm tired, but I don't know why I'm tired because I'm just sitting there all day. I shouldn't, You know,
It's tiring. No, it actually is tiring. Yeah, I mean,
man.
no, just own it, Dimitri, because
Yeah.
it is tiring, and you get down on yourself. You feel like, hey, I shouldn't, I should have more energy, and I should be, no, everybody has the same sort of experience, and so, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm finding, okay, I got to be more creative about when I schedule my exercise, because if I'm like going to do it after I've done like a bazillion other tasks, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other thing is that if I'm trying to squeeze it in, because I've got this thing to do and I've got that thing to do and I'm just going to squeeze it in, it doesn't happen because I just run out of time.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to, I say, okay, here, I've got 45 minutes, and I'm going to get half an hour of exercise done. But I actually don't have 45 minutes. When it comes down to it, I have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so then I'm just not doing it in 20 minutes because I'm like, and that's probably not good, because I totally buy into, I think this is Dick Van Dyke, but he said, just go to the gym for whatever time you have. If you have
told
5
me that.
minutes. Yeah, and I have not been doing that. So I got to get with it. But on the other hand, don't beat yourself up, because this is exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Also, do you know a dry cleaner in the area?
Okay, so I usually go to I think it's called Holiday Cleaners or Holiday Manor Cleaners. They've got one in Holiday Manor and they've got one out here by me, but it's Holiday Cleaners, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
I don't know if they're open. I don't know what they're doing.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
But you're not anywhere close to me though, are you?
No, probably not. I mean, I'm by campus. I'm on campus now.
So reach out to some of your classmates. Ask
Okay.
Pierce.
Pierce? Okay.
Yeah, because he's over in Old Louisville, right?
Yeah, he's right by me.
He'll have some ideas, but yeah, no, it's no, I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna try.
All right.
I'm gonna try and keep the workouts consistent. You stay safe.
You
Have
too.
a good dinner. And thank you a
All
lot
right.
for this, big time. Like, this is great.
Sure.
So
We'll do this again. We'll circle back. We'll talk some more and stuff like that. Send me your resume and stuff. Are you doing anything 4th of July weekend?
We have an exam for family law. So, what about you?
Not really.
No.
I was just wondering when we might, if we wanted to kind of touch base again or whatever. But
I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much free. I mean, I was gonna go to Michigan, but I don't think it's a good. And then I definitely want to see, because we were gonna see my grandma, but one of my grandmas. But if this lady has in the office has COVID, I don't think it'd be great for me to go. Also, I have a test that weekend, so.
Okay, so now you focus on your test and do your test and stuff like that, and then we'll catch up maybe the weekend after that or something.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Yes, sir. I'll reach out to you too. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. All right, take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, fuck.